Horacio Quiroga was born in Salto, Uruguay on December 31, 1878. As the sixth child and second son of Prudencio Quiroga and Pastora Forteza. His father accidentally killed himself with a misfiring gun when Horacio was 2 months old, and his stepfather committed suicide shortly after Horacio completed college in Montevideo, Uruguay. As a young man, he spent much of his time traveling in Europe before finally settling down in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Acting as a journalist for the major part of his life, he took inspiration from the jungles of the Misiones province, as well as other writers, most notable Edgar Allan Poe. He fell in love with one of his teenage students, Ana Maria Sir, who bore him 2 children in 1911 and 1912 respectively. Given his extreme fondness of the jungle-filled province of Misiones, Quiroga settled his new family on a farm in the jungle region. However, this arrangement did not last long, as disputes between the couple quickly escalated, inciting Ana Maria's suicide. His misfortune with love would resurface twice more. Once, when his second wife's parents disapproved of and subsequently ended their marriage, and again when his third wife abandoned him at the news of his prostate cancer in 1935. Unable to bear pain of his illness, Quiroga released himself from his suffering by drinking a glass of cyanide on February 19, 1937. Horacio Quiroga's life impacted his literary works in several respects. His experience with death in his family, coupled with his fondness for Edgar Allan Poe's dark style of writing, compelled him to center his stories around the themes of life and death, as explored in The Feather Pillow and beyond. Quiroga's misfortune with love also surfaces in his literature. Interestingly, the relationship between the main characters in The Feather Pillow closely resembles Quiroga's own relationship with his first wife, in which the marriage is poisonous, both lovers to the extent of death. He often uses his wives as inspiration for his stories, such as Past Love and History of a Troubled Love.
Jordan. He was the husband of Alicia. He was dominant, loving, and caring. He had a rough character and did not talk very much. He loved Alicia very much, but at times didn't show it as much as he should have. Alicia was the main character in the story. She was blonde, angelic, and timid young girl. She loved Jordan more than anything.
The story happened when they moved in an old Gothic-like mansion.
The Feather Pillow begins with a young woman, Alicia, who has recently been married to Jordan, an impulsive man who rarely displays affection in the face of his wife's boundless love. After the couple moves into a nearly empty house, Alicia occupies her time by waiting for her husband to return home each evening. Her inactivity soon weakens her health, and as the season changes to autumn, she becomes ill with influenza. Alicia's symptoms do not subside, instead, growing increasingly worse as the days pass. Too weak to get up, she stays in bed with Jordan at her side as doctors examine potential causes of her illness. Unable to determine the cause of her condition, the doctor simply prescribed rest, but Alicia's mentality deteriorates to a greater degree as human-like hallucinations begin plaguing her. Helpless in the face of his wife's strange illness, Jordan can only pace the room, begging incoming doctors to save Alicia's life. With no cure for Alicia's illness, the young bride died after 5 days of suffering. A servant preparing to wash her bedsheets notices 2 small dark blood stains on her pillow, where her temples would be, and upon lifting the pillow, the servant realizes its heaviness is too great for a feather pillow. Jordan is called over to investigate. He cuts open a pillow to reveal a large parasite hidden amongst the feathers, which had been feasting on Alicia's blood, causing her death.
Love and marriage. Throughout the story, Alicia was said to be a loving bride. To Jordan, she never ceased to showcase her limitless love, unlike his groom who loved her dearly. But as an impassive man, he had a hard time expressing his love. Life and death. In Horatius' story, the feather pillow, the balance between life and death were portrayed with the use of Alicia. The story suggested that one cannot just exist with the other, just like how Alicia died so that the parasite could live. Dangerous isolation and fear. It was mentioned that Alicia was often left alone waiting for her husband to come home. She was unintentionally isolated, which caused the fear she was feeling in the story and the later danger she faced.
Express your feelings and love while you can. Do not be afraid to show your emotions and love. You'll never know when it's too late. Be alert and attentive. Know your surroundings and be prepared for all possible dangers so that it won't turn into a bigger threat. Every relationship has its highs and lows, good days and bad. If your relationship has gone cold, it's important to confront the underlying issues that brought the relationship to the place it's in. One should not lose hope easily. In times of trouble, hope is all we have. One should not lose hope easily. In times of trouble, hope is all we have. Learn to make time for your loved ones while they are here.